Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to our latest live stream on this Sunday evening. So we're talking about the 6th Winter 2019-2020 update that we released earlier on today. It ran to 1 hour 6 minutes, so it was an epic 6th Winter 2019-2020 update, to say the least. So I wonder what your thoughts about it. I hope you enjoyed it. It was definitely one of the longest winter updates that we've ever done, I think. So hopefully everybody enjoyed it. So we've already got a few people with us this evening. I think you say this evening, really it's 5 o'clock. We're going to be here for an hour, by the way. So we'll take as many questions as we can within the next hour. I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing as well in a moment. I just want to show you a couple of things. So I'll get on that in around 5 minutes' time. And as I say, I'm going to take as many questions as I can. As past few weeks, I suspect we'll have quite a bit of interest with this live stream, so I probably won't be able to answer everybody's questions. If I miss anybody out, then very sorry about that. I'm going to answer as many as I can, but of course it's I'm just going to have to go through the live chat as we're doing this. So I'll answer as many questions as I can. Probably won't be able to answer everybody's. If I miss anybody out, then very sorry for doing that. And you can always ask your question again, of course, next week. We're going to be doing these live streams right way through until we release the winter forecast, which will be on the 1st of December, of course. So you've got plenty of time to get your question asked. You can also super chat. Super chat is enabled. That will mean that your question gets sort of flagged up to me, so I'll see it in bright colours and so on. And you will then be guaranteed an answer. But otherwise, I'm just going to scroll through the chat and answer as many questions as I can. So we've already got some people in with us this afternoon or this evening. So we've got Sharon with us saying good evening, Gavin. Yeah, I think it is evening, isn't it? Really now. So hi, Sharon, and thanks for tuning in to our live stream this evening. We've got Street777 with us saying hi, Gav. So hi to you as well. Hope you're enjoying this live stream. I hope you enjoyed the 6th Winter 2019-2020 update. Iceman is with us saying hi, Gav. So hi, Iceman. Thank you so much for tuning in to our live stream this afternoon. Also, Michael Dunn is with us. So hi, Michael. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon. Freddie Walker is with us, watching Gav live chat with a hot mug of tea and an ice bun. What could be better? Haven't been able to catch the last two. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon or this evening, Freddie, and I hope you enjoyed that tea and ice bun with the live chat. Got 33 people watching at the moment, so hello and thank you for tuning in to all of you. Don't forget to hit the like button and let us know that you are enjoying the live stream as we go along. Jack Lowe is with us as well, saying hi, Gav. Hi, Jack. Thanks for tuning in this afternoon or this evening. Toby Scott is also with us, saying evening, Gav. Great work again. So hopefully you enjoyed the 6th Winter 2019-2020 update, Toby. It was certainly an epic. It took a long time to get that together yesterday evening, I'll tell you that, to get together and record it and then process it and upload it. Whole thing takes several hours, so hopefully people are enjoying these winter updates that we're doing. So scrolling on down, we can see that Mark Kanish is asking us a question. So I'm going to do a little bit of screen sharing first, I think, and then I'll start answering a few of your questions. I'm going to leave the live chat just there. I'm going to go over to that website, and then I have got to enable the screen share. So if everything works okay, let's just go up here. So I've got to get rid of the image, so I take that one off, and then I enable display capture. There we go. That should now be displaying. So let's go back here And we're at tropicaltidbits.com. I just wanted to show you the latest update from CANSIPS. You remember the last couple of updates of the seasonal model from CANSIPS have been showing blocked and cold conditions for the winter. So it updates on the first day of the month usually. Sometimes they can be a bit late updating. And by the way, we still haven't had an update from the Beijing Climate Centre either. So I don't know what's gone wrong there, but they haven't updated for over a week now. Actually, I can't get to the long range charts, so I'm wondering now how long it's going on. Whether they might have put them behind a paywall or something and only make them available to Pro Mets or something. I don't know what's going on there. If anybody knows, then do let us know through the chat or an email or whatever. Just let me know what's happening if you know at the Beijing Climate Centre, because not been able to get to their long-range models for over a week. Get a bit worried about that. But these things happen. Sometimes websites do go down and so on. So hopefully they'll come back in due course. Anyway, back to CANSIPS. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly from tropicaltidbits.com for CANSIPS. So this is for October. So it's for October, it's forecasting quite a lot of blocking. You see the red colours. Don't worry too much about the H's and the L's. These are anomalies to average. So although that's the Azores high, but CANSIPS is forecasting that's going to be a bit weaker than usual, actually. So where we've got these blue colours, that's where we've got below average pressure, low pressure, where we've got the red colours. That's where we've got high pressure. Don't worry too much about the H's and the L's. So for October, it's going for an unsettled month. Obviously, deep low pressure is around the UK and it'll come over here, over much of northern Central Europe as well. Got the red colours to the north. That's northern blocking. So it's definitely going for a blocked October and quite a cool and unsettled one too. If we, let's just go up here and move that on. So if we go to November, we can see that in November, CANSIPS is forecasting high pressure to be sort of to the north of Scotland, but jet stream looks like it's pushed further southwards in November. That's quite a blocked month again being forecast by CANSIPS for November. High pressure looks like, if you come over here, it's sort of from Scandinavia going over towards Iceland. You would have thought that would be bringing easterly winds for November. So potentially quite a coolish couple of months in October and November. You would maybe say quite cold even. This is December, so in December we're losing that blocking. Looks unsettled really in December. Lots of blue there around the UK and much of Western Europe, so it looks like quite an unsettled month. The jet stream's coming northwards, probably actually through the country, as the northern blocking, the red colour sort of going away. So I suspect the jet stream is still a little bit further south than normal. It's not sort of between Iceland and Scandinavia, so it's not pushed far north, but it's certainly come northwards in December compared to November. Quite an unsettled, stormy-ish sort of month, I would have thought, in December. And certainly for the northern part of the country, maybe a little bit of cold potential. That's January 2020. Again, the blocking signal is reduced, so it isn't going for as much blocking with the update this month as it did in the last couple of months. January looking very, very unsettled month. The jet stream's further northward still, you'll notice. So that could potentially be quite a mild January, I would have thought. But again, very, very unsettled, possibly even quite stormy and maybe very wet too, but maybe a bit milder than average. And then that's February. So another unsettled month. Low pressure is in control. With this one, got a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge, though, here in the middle of the Atlantic. So there would be the chance of cold snaps, I would have thought, in February. Not overly cold, but again, there's no northern blocking. So there's no high pressure over Greenland or Scandinavia. So there's nothing to force in true sort of Arctic or Siberian winds. But because we've got a mid-Atlantic ridge, possibly sort of lining the jet stream up northwest southeast with a risk of cold snaps. And finally, that's March. So March looking rather changeable again, I suppose. We're under near normal pressure actually in March, so possibly a little bit drier. Because that's a very long way out, so it's not worth worrying about at all. But I think the main takeaway from this update from CANSIPS this month is that it has reduced that northern blocking signature that it's had in the last couple of months, and it's not going for as much of a cold winter, definitely, this month as it did in the last couple of months. Right then, so I'm going to go back and turn off the screen capture, and then I'll see if I can answer a few of your questions. So if we get rid of that and then enable that, let's go back then to YouTube and have a look and see what you're saying. So I can see we've got 77 people watching us right now. Hello, good evening, thank you so much to all of you for tuning in to this live stream this evening. I hope you are enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed that little look at CANSIPS just looking at a few minutes ago. So let's scroll down through the chat then. So where did we get to? I think we got to Mark Kanish. So if I can find Mark's question, there we go. So I'm going to go back up to the chat. The only thing with these live streams, going through the live chat, is that it kind of pulls down to the bottom of the chat. I'm going to scroll back up again to get back to where I was. So there we go, Mark Kanish. Hi, Gavin. Two things. First one, in winter 1998 into 1999 was a mild winter. Wasn't a mild winter, I think that should be. We had snow. Can you still get snow in a mild one? So yeah, that's right. Overall winter 98-99 was mild, Atlantic driven, but there were several cold snaps along the way. There was a couple of cold snaps in January. I think there's a couple in February. I think there was one in early March too, only lasting a day or two, around 3 days perhaps. But there was a bit of snow around during January and February 1999 in what was otherwise a mild Atlantic driven winter. It was a very cold winter, I think, for Scandinavia, if memory serves correct. Adam Blunzen is with us. Hi, Gav. How's your day? So my day's very good, thank you, Adam. Hope you're having a nice day yourself, and hope you're enjoying our live stream this afternoon. Let's scroll down, so let's see if I can find any more. So Streak777 is asking, why is it so difficult to get snow on snow in this country? I suppose it's just because of where we are, really, Streak, where we are in the world. So we're not a particularly cold country. We've got the Atlantic right next door to us, and to be able to sort of sustain snow for a length of time and then build more snow on top of it, which is something that we do get in our colder winter. So you remember, if you cast your mind back to the December to remember in 2010, there was a bit of that going on actually through that month, where it would snow, the snow would stick and lay, then get some more snow on top of it, and that would stick, and then get a bit more snow, and gradually the snow depths really did build up in some places, quite dramatically so, through December 2010. But they're the exceptions, those sort of months. Generally, when it snows in this country, the air is just not cold enough really to allow that snow to stick around. It will tend to melt and go to sort of slush and go quite quickly, unless you've got a true sort of entrenched Arctic or Siberian type air mass. So that's the reason we're basically most of the time too warm to be able to sustain snow on the ground for a prolonged period and allow more snow to fall on top of it. But when it does happen, and it does happen on occasion, when it happens, you know that you're having one of our colder, our colder episodes, our colder outbreaks. Got Brent Tops with us. Hi there, thanks for the awesome winter update as always. So thank you so much, Brent. I hope you found it interesting and informative, my friend. Mark Kanish asking his second question. So I'm going on an overnight stay on Friday to Llandudno with girlfriend. Hopefully weather won't be too bad. Let's hope not. So Friday, yeah, I don't think it's going to be too bad on Friday, really. So there's a bit of uncertainty about the end of the week and into the weekend. So there's going to be rain around. I suspect it will be a bit further northwards, though, than Llandudno on Friday, but as we get into the weekend, it might come a bit further southwards. I don't think it's going to be too bad, though, so I hope you have a nice time in Llandudno. Shira is asking, how getting good to see the winter of 1978 to 1979 cropping up in a lot of the analogues. Yeah, that one has been featuring quite a bit, Sharon, hasn't it? So very, very cold winter, but also been featuring quite a lot is 97, 98, of course, exceptionally mild winter. But as I explained in the video, I don't think we'll weight that one as highly as some of the others when we come to bring the forecast together, even though it's cropping up quite a lot. And the reason for that is that it had the Super Nino. We're definitely not going to have a Super Nino for this winter. We're unsure what El Nino is going to be doing. It will either be, I would have thought, ENSO neutral most likely. There's an outside chance of a very weak El Nino. I think a weak La Nina is probably off the table now. But either way, it's not going to be, it's not going to be a dramatic El Nino event. So I would tend to say that although 97, 98 is cropping up quite a bit, probably not one of the more significant players when we come to do the winter forecast. We can't ignore it, of course, because we don't know fully why that was such an exceptionally mild winter. But my guess is the reason 97, 98 was such an exceptionally mild winter was probably due to the Super El Nino that's going on. When you have these Super El Ninos, a lot of the time they seem to coincide with very, very warm winters in the UK. So 2015-16, of course, had the exceptionally mild December. In 97, 98, actually, it was more sort of February that was exceptionally mild. But either way, I don't think we'll see, we're definitely not going to see a Super El Nino for this winter. Paul James is with us. Good evening, Gav. Lovely day on the South Coast. Yeah, it's been really nice here, Paul, in Northants as well. So, yeah, I think eastern coastal areas, though, have been a bit wet, but that was expected. We thought that the rain would struggle to clear the east coast, and indeed it has done. But, excuse me, otherwise most places have had quite a nice day today. Katrine Baso is with us. Good evening, Gavin. I loved listening to today's Sick Winter update video. It did not seem like an hour. Well, that's great to hear, Katrine. I do worry when I'm recording these very long videos whether it's too much. But as we've gone on with these over the years, the sort of view that I take really is that the video is going to take as long as it takes. So we've just got to go through the data. I don't aim to have a particularly long video. I don't aim to have sort of 70, 80 tabs on the go. It's just how long the update it needs to take in its own terms. So every update is unique. Some of them are a little bit more influential than others. Today's, I think, is a very, very influential one because it does include that QBO data, which is very important, actually, for the winter. Now, I've got over 80 people watching, by the way, so hello and a big thank you to all of you for tuning in this afternoon. Hope you're enjoying this live stream. Do click the like button if you are enjoying the live stream. Back to Katrine's point, though. So, yeah, it takes as long as it takes. And I just hope that people enjoy it when they get to see it. And thanks for your lovely comment, Katrine. Ian Cole saying snow already in USA, things to come maybe. Yeah, around a week ago it was really, really snowy at Montana, in Montana, Ian, and into southern parts of Canada as well. So winter is biting already, has been biting across parts of the States and Canada. Also biting across parts of Siberia as well, as we saw, and Russia, as we saw in today's Sick Winter update. Paul Stanya is with us. Hi, Gav. Hope you're well. What is media basing those bold, cold statements we keep seeing? So I think that is based on the forecaster that is always at this time of year churning out very severe winter forecasts. The papers pick up on it because they want to sell their papers. But we may have a cold winter this winter, definitely. It's a possibility, but it could happen. But I don't necessarily think that means that the forecast will be right if it does, because, stop clocks and all that. Stop clock is going to be right twice a day. But, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing when we see those headlines turning up in the newspapers all the time. But I think we're all used to it now. I would suspect most people just sort of switch off and don't pay a great deal of attention to it. Hopefully that's the case. Although I suppose if the newspapers keep publishing it, they must be still selling their newspapers and they must see their sales go up. when these newspaper reports appear about severe cold weather. But it's got no basis in science. Unlike what we had a couple of weeks ago. You remember there was the thing a couple of weeks ago from London University, I think it was. Could be got that wrong, but that was based on that was proper scientific based type evidence. So that one was more important than these that are appearing at the moment. But it's the same old, and I just wouldn't take a great deal of notice of it, to be honest. So let's scroll down and have a look at one or two more if we can. Again, sorry if I miss anybody out when I'm doing this. So I'm just scrolling through the chat, and I'm going to try and answer as many as I can. I'm going to be here until 6 o'clock, and then I'm going to go off and write up the written version for this sick winter update. That's going to take me quite a while to get that wrote up. Thomas Green is with us saying horrible in East Anglia. So, well, sorry to hear that, Thomas, but yes, we always thought that this rain was going to have a job to clear those eastern coastal counties, and indeed that is what's happened. So, we'll be going quite soon. I think you're going to do a little bit better tomorrow. Rain will be coming in tomorrow, but probably for East Anglia, probably doesn't get there until quite late on. So I don't think it's going to be as bad, nowhere near, tomorrow. We've got Alexander Milankis. Probably pronounced that wrong, saying hi Gav, hi Alexander, and thank you for tuning in to our live stream discussing this sick winter 2019-2020 update. So we've also got Croft Weatherman with us. Hi Gavin, as one of your patrons, I love what you do. Well, thank you so much for being a patron, Croft. So that's really, really great of you. And again, all of the patrons and all of the donors to Gav's Office, it is very, very special what you do for us. I'm always blown away that people want to become patrons and want to donate to fund Gav's Office, or to help to fund Gav's Office. So thank you so much for being a patron to you, and thank you to all of the patrons as well. Really is very, very kind. So to your question, thank you so much for your hard work. Back in July 1962, my dad installed central heating. Good timing. Well, that's true. Yes. So just before the daddy of cold winters, I suppose, 1962, 1963. That's the one everybody wants to emulate, but of course it was the coldest winter since 1740, so chances are none of us will ever emulate that winter in our lifetime. But of course, you never know. Weather always finds ways to surprise us, and we only have to go back to December 2010 as the coldest December since 1890, nearly the coldest December since records began in the CET back in 1659. So just show, even in these warmer days, let's say, we do still get some very cold weather when the blocking is in the right position. Lee Jameson is with us. Good evening, Gav. More amplification this winter? That's a question. Promoting a more block pattern, maybe. Keep up great work. So we have seen a little bit of amplification, Lee, over the past few months, really starting back in May, June time. That's gone away a little bit through September. September was more of a typical sort of month with less blocking, but I don't think the blocking is all that far away as we're going into October. So have to see what happens with that. You just never know. And of course, last autumn we had a negative NAO in both October and November, and then virtually on the first day of the winter, on the first day of December, we saw the NAO flipping positive, and it stayed positive then throughout the whole of the winter into the spring. So you just never know. What's happened in the past is not a guarantee for what's going to happen in the future, but definitely there has been more amplification around, have had a little bit more blocking around this year. I'm going to try and scroll through the chat and answer one or two more. So MSC Michael is with us. Evening to you all. Well behind with the weather, as I've been extremely busy recently. Thank you for all of this, Gav. Much appreciated. That's very, very kind of you, Michael. Thank you so much for your lovely comment. And just watch as many of the videos and whatnot as you can when you've got time for them, my friend. Don't worry if you miss some of the videos out. Just Just watch them when you can. So we've also got, now remind me how we said we pronounce this. It's Urki, but I pronounced that wrong. You did tell me last week how to pronounce that, so you can remind me in the chat, then I'll try and remember for the future. We've got, hi Yamin, what do you think, what negative phase of the AMO, Atlantic Multi-Decadal Oscillation, is bringing in the future, and delta minimum type grand solar minimum? What do you think winters will be like? So when you're in a cold AMO, which the last time you was in a cold Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation, remember the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans go through prolonged cool and warm periods of around 20 to 30 years. We have been in a warm Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation, which started around 1995. We're still just about in that, but we're not being in it for much longer. So the last time we was in a cold Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation was from around the middle of the 1960s, around 1964, 1965, to around the middle of the 90s, 94, 95. So we had a mixture of weather through that period, didn't we? We had quite a lot of cold winters in the 1960s, and had a run of cold winters from the late 70s to the middle of the 1980s. In between, we had a lot of mild winters occurring sort of early to mid 1970s, and then again late 1980s through most of the early 1990s. So maybe we'll do something like that, swing between warmer and colder winters perhaps, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting to see what effects the cold AMO has on the weather in the next few decades. And also in terms of grand solar minimum, well, at the moment NASA is not forecasting a grand solar minimum. We talked about this before, I think. So the forecast from NASA for solar cycle 25 is for a solar cycle very similar to the current solar cycle, number 24, but on the bottom end of that range, the possibility is there that we could drop down to the Dalton minimum type level. So that's the kind of level I think we'd be looking at for solar cycle 25, at its worst, a Dalton minimum type level. I don't think there's a great deal of evidence for grand solar minimum, but then again, other people would disagree with that, and we're just going to have to wait and see again. Time will tell, of course. We've got 83 people watching our live stream this afternoon. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Please click the like button if you are enjoying this live stream. So we've also got Katrine Baso asking Gavin, what do you think of the wintry weather later on in the winter, please? So I think that's based on what we saw in the 6th winter update, where there was a clear trend with both sets of analogues, interestingly. The analogues we started off with, looking at September CTs, and then the analogues that we finished with, looking at the QBO. There was that clear trend that the earlier winter months, December, January, relatively milder, and then later winter getting colder. If we was to shift into an El Nino, a weak El Nino, that will perhaps coincide with that as well. But again, it's going to be a case of just waiting and seeing what happens, I think. But certainly that's the way the analogues were shaping up today. We have seen that a little bit, I think, with the analogues over the past few updates too. Lisa Cotton is saying, hi Gav, does good snow cover this early on usually point towards a cold winter period? I think that relates to Siberia and Russia, perhaps, Lisa. So it's one of those things where there is a teleconnection back to a strengthened Siberian high. I mean, you get an early rapid expansion of snow across Siberia and Russia during the month of October. It seems to teleconnect that later on in winter to an increase in the strength of the Siberian high. Now, the Siberian high can do two things. It can sometimes push out of Siberia into west of Russia and then into Scandinavia. And if it does that, then we're going to get easterly winds. That's kind of like what happened when we had the beast from the east, if you remember, back at the end of February 2018. The other thing that the Siberian high can do, though, it can go over the top of the pole and down into Canada. And when it does that, it will take the severe cold air down into Canada and North America. That is what happened in the winter of 2013-14. And the upshot of that was to take that extreme cold out of Canada, dump it into North America, and eventually that ended up moving out into the Atlantic. It absolutely blew up the jet stream, and you'll remember we had an extraordinarily wet and stormy winter in 2013-14, and part of the reason that happened, there were other things going on as well. It's a solar maximum winter, but one of the things that drove that extreme cyclogenesis that we had in winter 2013-14 was the Siberian high pushing out of Siberia, going over the pole and down into Canada and North America. So a strengthened Siberian high. It's important to try and see how strong the Siberian high will be, but it's not a guarantee that from that we will get cold. And in fact, it could be that it plays against us in the end. If anybody wants a cold winter, it could be something that goes against you if that Siberian high finishes moving off down into Canada and North America. Thomas Green is with us. Hi Gab, been watching your videos since 2017. Every single one of them have been interesting. Well, thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you for sticking with the videos over these years. And yeah, thank you so much for your lovely comment as well. As long as people keep wanting to watch the videos, then as long as people keep wanting to watch videos, then we're happy to keep making them. So thank you so much for that, Thomas. That really is very, very kind. We've got Sane with us. I typed Golden Week China and shows holiday from 1st to 7th, so could be back on the 8th probably. So let's hope so, Sane. I think that's about the Beijing Climate Centre. Let's hope that the Beijing Climate Centre long-range models are back up and running for the 8th of October. The only thing I'm wondering about that is that I can't remember this happening in previous years. Of course, they would have this holiday through the first week of October every year, so I don't think this has ever happened before, but there could be a connection, and if you're right, we'll find out. So the 6th day, so we'll find out on Tuesday whether they come back up and running. Dagger is saying, I find it weird that CanSIPS is willing to show average air pressure. So, well, that's just one of those things. I think Dagger can't explain what's going on there. But I hope everybody enjoyed that little look at the CanSIPS model, doing a little bit of screen sharing earlier on in the video. Let's scroll down and have a look at one or two more. City Andy is November 2010, about to repeat. So, of course, that's the beginning of the December to remember, of course. Well, have to wait and see on that, Andy. That's month from sort of the final week of November 2010 to Christmas 2010. That was extremely cold, extraordinarily cold. It probably is the coldest 4 weeks for those 4 weeks from the last week of November to Christmas. I think it's probably the coldest that we've ever had on record, certainly for the CET going back to 1659. So it would take quite some doing to beat that, but maybe we'll get something a little bit colder in November. That's certainly where CanSIPS was showing up. Got 86 people watching us this afternoon. Hello, and thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. We're going to be here for another half an hour answering as many questions as we can. So we're going to sign off at 6 o'clock. So I'm going to go off and write up the written version for the 6th winter update. But until then, the next half hour, I'm going to take as many questions as I can. Mark Clifford looks surprised that we were screen sharing. So I hope you enjoyed that little look at CanSIPS at tropicaltidbits.com, Mark. So let's scroll down, have a look at one or two more if we can do that and see what we've got. So I've been pulled down to the bottom of the channel. I'm going to go and scroll back up again. So let's see if I can find one or two more. So Paul Miller is saying, hi Gab, do you think with all this rain, October could be wettest on record? I'd be surprised if we had the wettest October on record, Paul. It's possible we might do. It certainly looks like it's going to be a wetter October. We haven't had all that many wet Octobers, have we? So, past few years. So, they tended to be rather drier. I think it could probably be the wettest since 2012. If it was to be wetter than 2012, then it would probably be the wettest since 2004, and I believe 2004 was the wettest October probably since 1987. I could be wrong on that. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, it could be the wettest October for quite a while anyway, and that'll be interesting to see when we do the analogues, of course, for October. We'll look at October precipitation. I don't think we've ever looked at wet Octobers before, because I think since we've been doing the winter updates with analogues, I don't think we've had a particularly wet October, so that could be something new if this October does turn out to be a wet month. Got 92 people watching us now, so hello. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in on this Sunday evening. Please hit the like button and let us know that you are enjoying it. MSC Michael, with the above average rainfall so far this year, I wonder if we could be close to the wettest year on record for the UK. I don't think so, Michael. I don't think we would be all that close to the wettest year. Thinking of years like 2000, for example, which was extremely wet year. And also maybe around 2015, I think that was quite a wet year too. So I don't think we've been at that sort of level, but certainly as the year is drawing to a close, it seems to be getting wetter all the time. So we shall see how it comes out when we get to the end of the year in the stats. I suppose if the next 3 months, October, November, December, are very, very wet, then it is possible this might come out as one of the wettest years, perhaps. I don't think we will beat the all-time record, but we'll see. Shiram, how are you going? Interesting that a stalling westerly QBO favours a colder winter more than a transitioning west to east QBO. You will think the latter will favour a cold winter more. Yeah, I was quite surprised about that, Shiram, when I saw the data, the analyse. I was quite surprised that a lingering sort of dying but not going westerly QBO actually favours being colder than a west to east transitioning QBO. I'm not sure why that should be. The only thing I'd say is that it's very unusual. What we saw is that there was only 4 winters going back to the 1950s that had that lingering west QBO, so it's quite unusual for that to happen. And within those 4 winters we had the very cold winter of 78, 79, of course, so that could be skewering the data a little bit. It could be that with only 4 winters available within those analogues, that basically there's not enough there's not enough evidence, not enough years to be able to draw a conclusion, perhaps. But yeah, I was quite surprised anyway that that's the case. I can't think quite why that would be. Dagger is saying, do you think 2019 could have an annual CT of 11 degrees? It's possible, Dagger. It's certainly been a very warm year. I think we'll probably fall just short of it, though, because while a lot of the months this year have been above average, I don't think we've had anything very, very hot, so in terms of a monthly CT. So a lot of the months have been coming out this year sort of within a degree and a half of above average. So I think it's unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out. So WD is saying, hi Gav, I've watched you for the past 4 to 5 years. I do outlooks in southeast Michigan. I worked for the NWS for 37 years and acquired the title as weather historian for the region. Well, thank you so much for tuning into our live stream, WD, and for watching the videos over the past 4 or 5 years. I've always thought about maybe doing some forecasting for North America. It's a very different climate to what I'm used to in the UK and in Europe. Potentially it is an avenue I'd like to go in, but of course it's always a case of finding the time to do it. We really are pushing the content out a lot of the time, and if I did, I'd probably have to remove something else. So it is one of those avenues I'd like to explore, really, doing some forecasting for North America. But the 2 things that hold me back are It's a very different climate and just timed really, but potentially it's an avenue I would like to explore definitely and do a bit of forecasting for North America. We've got Cameron Kane asking at what height does low cloud become mist or fog? Unsure about that, Cameron. If anybody knows, then please can you let Cameron know through the live chat. We've got Kieran Edmund saying if the winter is anything like the early summer, like the NAO tends to be, there could be a lot of persistent blocking, could be interesting. So that's true, Kieran. Yes, we did have that we did have that negative NAO signal in May and also going on into June as well. So associated with the tripole signal that we had in the Atlantic, which started developing in May and it took off in June. If that was to start coming back, then potentially we could see a return to negative NAO type conditions. We'll have to wait and see, but just to say that the latest update from the UK Met Office contingency planners guidance, which they release at the end of the month, and look at the following 3 months, that wasn't particularly hopeful on the tripole returning. Actually, for the next 3 months, they're seeing the Atlantic becoming colder. So that wouldn't be particularly good news, and it would take us away from that tripole signature. So we'll have to wait and see. Still holding at 97 people watching. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Sunday evening. So Michael Dunn is leaving us, so enjoy the rest of your day. Michael, hope you enjoyed the live stream, my friend. So if we scroll down, see if we can find one or two more. Just I'm scrolling through the chat as we're doing this, so if I miss anybody out, then really sorry about that. A huge volume of people asking questions and getting involved in the live stream, so thank you so much everybody for doing that. But it does mean that some people might not get their question answered, so if I miss anybody out, sorry about that. You can super chat. Your question will be highlighted then and you'll definitely get an answer, but otherwise it's just the luck of whether I happen to see it as I'm scrolling through the chat. Steve Ben Bob is saying for all those who want a snowy winter, head to Japan's North Island. Averages almost 6 meters of snow each year. So yeah, the north of Japan can actually be very cold. A lot of people don't associate Japan with cold and snow, but certainly some parts of it can be really cold. Brent Topsy saying the summer of 2019 did have 3 heat waves here in Belgium with a new hot record, 41 degrees. Also, this summer was the 3rd hottest summer on record. 2018 is the hottest summer on record. So yeah, it's a very warm summer. Indeed, and particularly hot, of course, in the final week or so of July. That was really hot spell. Thomas Green, next week the ECM model now has low pressure over Norway, blocking over Greenland. So yeah, it's not far away actually, Thomas, from taking us back into those negative NAO, negative AO type conditions with blocking and with the jet stream going on a southerly track. We could pull in some cold air at some point this month. I wouldn't be that surprised if we did, although this is looking like a very unsettled month. I wouldn't be surprised, especially as we go later on, whether we pull in a bit of a cold snap. So that's just something to watch out for, possibly in week 3 or week 4 of the month. So we shall see about that. So we've got 88 people with us. Now I'm going to be here for another 15 minutes, and then I'll have to wrap up the live stream and go off and have a look at, but go off and write up the written version for the 6th Winter 2019-2020 update. That's going to take me a long time to write it up because it's a very long video, of course. So lot of people don't have the time to watch the videos, so they need to have some sort of written version to be able to keep up with what's going on. So it's always very important to get that done. If anyone's waiting for that, it'll probably be around 8 o'clock this evening at gazlovis.com. I would have thought. City Andy, has low solar activity increased volcanic activity in your opinion? I haven't seen any stats, Andy, about that, so I'm unsure. I know there is a connection between low solar activity increase in volcanic activity. Not seen any stats to say whether there's more volcanoes going off at the moment or not, so I'd need to see data to be able to say one way or another. But there is that connection, of course, between low levels of solar activity and increased volcanism. So let's have a look at one or two more if we can do that. Mark Knish, how do you know, Gavin, if the Siberian High is going to deliver us cold weather in the winter? Well, you would have to factor in all the other points then, Mark. So one of the things, of course, with the strength of the Siberian High that we had in 2013-14 was a solar maximum winter. So it would imply that the Atlantic is already going to be more active. So you have to factor in what's going on with Siberian snow cover. With all of the other things, you couldn't create a winter forecast based on a rapid expansion of Siberian snow cover on its own, and that's the reason we do these winter updates in a sort of multidisciplinary way, looking at various multiple elements, if you like. We do it that way because one element on its own, unless it's something like El Nino. If you have a Super Nino, then that will tend to override everything else. But otherwise, the elements have to be combined, and then you have to put them together with the long-range models, and you sort of have to make a judgment call then, if you like, based on your experience. So there's a lot that goes into these winter updates and the winter forecasts that we are going to come away with at the end of these winter updates. Remember, each winter update is building up to the winter forecast, and there is a lot that goes into it. Roberto, hi Gav, what are your thoughts related to speculation in the press and social media yesterday? Keep up the great work. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the live stream. I would say just ignore it, Roberto. It's from the usual suspects, and is not to be taken seriously. It's just the sort of thing that we get every year at this time of the year, talking about getting the coldest winter since 1740 and whatnot. Kit Kat is with us saying, hey Gav, first time tuning into the live chat. So thank you so much for tuning in, Kit Kat. I hope you're enjoying this live stream, and thank you so much for getting involved in the chat as well. KitKat also asking, do you agree that the analogues have been trending towards stronger northern blocking over the last few 2019-2020 winter updates? I think particularly late winter we have seen that over the past few updates. Not sure about December and January, and so overall for the winters themselves, or winters combined analogues, not sure we've seen a particularly strong signal for northern blocking. I think what has been evident is that the late winters have tended in these winter updates this year so far to be tended to be signalling colder weather later on, a little bit less so earlier. Again, I'm scrolling through the chats. If I miss anybody out, then really sorry about that. We've got JRP Romeo saying, hi Gav, when are you going to start talking about the polar vortex? Always find it fascinating. When does it form? The polar vortex is already formed, JRP, but I think it's been a little bit weaker than normal so far this season. It's been quite a slow start to get it going. I suppose we'll talk about it when we need to. So you haven't really needed to talk about the polar vortex, but when it's important to talk about it, we will talk about it. And of course, as we get into the winter itself, then we start looking at what's happening in the stratosphere. We start looking for those sudden stratospheric warnings, but it's a bit too early for that at this stage. That's more something that we'll talk about sort of December time. MSC Michael, would you think about doing a weekly European forecast? So yeah, we did do the European Outlook every Monday, particularly on the original weather video channel. And for a while on this Gareth Worthy's YouTube channel as well. It's one of those things I just didn't have the time to continue, and it didn't seem to get a great deal of interest. It was one of the least watched of the videos that we did. But potentially if I could find the time, then yes, I would like to do a weekly European Outlook. Of course, we do the ECMWF video on a Tuesday, looking at the ECM monthly model. So potentially yes, but again, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of whether there's the interest there. If people want to see the videos, then we're happy to do them. So watch your space. Maybe it'll be coming back some point in the future. We've been joined for 50 minutes, and we've got 90 people still watching us this evening. So hello, and thank you so much to all of you. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in this afternoon. We've got Savvy with us. I hope this winter is a cold one. I want to really capture a wintry wonderland through my camera lens. So yes, snow, ice, always make for great pictures, Savvy, and we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe this winter we'll have plenty of snow-covered landscapes for you. We'll just have to wait and see about that, won't we? Moving down through one or two more of the chats. Again, sorry if I've missed anybody out. I'm doing this as I'm moving through the live chat. So once again, if I miss anybody out, very, very sorry about that. You can, of course, ask your question again next week. We're going to be doing these right the way up until we release the winter forecast on Sunday, the 1st of December. So we've got Adrian Moss. Hi, Gav. Did you see the snow that Northwest America and Canada had? I think you're right on northern blocking and volcanic ash. Good work. So, yes, we saw that a week ago, Adrian. Big snow in Montana and in that northwestern part of America, and into the southwestern part of Canada. So, yeah, very, very notable. Amazing to think that you can live in a climate that gets a snowstorm in late September. That really is quite extraordinary, isn't it? Craig Edwards, low solar activity means low solar activity allows more cosmic rays to enter Earth's atmosphere, which in turn interact with volcanic magma, causing an uptick in activity. Yes, that's right. There's definitely that connection there between low levels of solar activity and also an increase in volcanism. I'm not sure we've seen a measured increase in volcanism over the past year or two, because I've not seen any stats on that, but intuitively you will think that's probably happen. Jack Lowe, great winter update, Gav. I think that this winter might be setting up a memorably cold and snowy winter next year. So let's go over that again. So great winter update. Yeah, I think that this winter might be setting up a memorably cold and snowy winter next year. Any thoughts? Okay, I see where you're coming from with that. So, of course, we had 61, 62, which kind of set up 62, 63, didn't it? We saw that within the analogues today. There was a bit of a blocking signal in the winter of 1961-62, but much reduced compared to the winter that followed it. And of course, again, winter of 1945-1946 sort of set up, to some degree, the winter of 46-47. So I see where you're coming from with that, Jack, and we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe this will be like a setting up winter, and it'll be next winter, the winter of 2020-2021. Maybe that will be the one to watch out for. Time will tell, of course. So nearly at the end of the video now, and I've gone through most of your questions, I think. So we've got Kevin Casey with us saying hi from Bergen in Norway. So hi, Kevin. Thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. Brent Top saying I have a feeling that this winter is going to be comparable to 2017-18, but it's just a feeling. 99% I will be wrong. So again, we'll just have to wait and see about that, Brent. Baby Ninja, does the South Pole have a massive vortex? I believe so, Baby Ninja. I believe so, but of course it's not populated. And it's a long way from populated areas as well. Callum Turley is with us saying, how are you? Well, I'm fine, thank you, Callum. A little bit tired after doing that winter update. But otherwise, I'm okay, and I hope you're having a lovely afternoon. So I think we've pretty much gone through the chat. Still got 5 minutes left, so maybe let's just go to Meteo Seal. And I'll just do a little bit more screen share. I just wanted to show you something. I've just released the first written update for Christmas at GazWeathers.com this afternoon. Do have a look at that and check it out and see what you think. It's based on the midday run of the CFS from Friday. I got those charts together yesterday, Saturday. 24-hour delay, of course, on the charts going through. But today's midday run of the CFS, I think, is perhaps showing something a bit colder for Christmas. So if we can just turn that off and enable the screen share again. This is a little bit of a surprise for everybody, so I haven't said I'm going to do this. So, but I thought I'd just maybe, if we get a spare couple of minutes, have a look at this. So we're at Meteo Seal, and we're starting at the end of November. This is the midday run of the CFS V2 at Meteo Seal, generated midday yesterday, Saturday. What we've done the Christmas written update at GazWeathers.com with is the midday run of the CFS from Friday. Anyway, so we're at Meteo Seal, and we're at the end of November. We've got this area of low pressure diving in across the country and turning the wind into the east. So early December, this is taking us into the opening days of December, looks cold and wintry here. An area of low pressure diving down through the country from Norway, bringing in very cold easterly winds. That looks very snowy and cold there through the early part of December on this CFS run. Let's see if we can get closer towards Christmas. So we carry on running through the first week of December, and we still look pretty cold and wintry actually of this area of low pressure sort of dumbbelling around the country. So more snow probably there through like the end of the first week of December into the second week of December. This gets us to the 11th. We've got a ridge of high pressure then building across the country. That's cutting off those northeasterly winds, but of course would be very cold and frosty under that ridge of high pressure. Let's carry on and see if we can get a little bit closer to Christmas. That high pressure is trying to get itself up towards Scandinavia, so it's having a go bringing the wind into the east. But this deep low in the Atlantic, as we're into the middle of December now, this deep low in the Atlantic bringing proper rain and gale force winds with westerly winds. Is this going to get colder? I've had a feeling this was going to go cold for Christmas, but maybe it's not going to do it. So we're going up to the 22nd and the 23rd. We bring this area of low pressure in across the country. Winds are turning back into the north again. So for Christmas, that's Christmas Day, actually quite mild and westerly Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. Rain and showers. After that, though, Boxing Day is turning colder. Winds are swinging back into the north. That's bringing colder air back southwards again. And probably bringing snow showers with it. And then as we run up towards the new year, we can see what's happening. So the high pressure then is going up to Scandinavia and properly turning winds into the east. That's bringing bitterly cold easterly winds here between Christmas and New Year. Yes, very, very cold as we go to the end of the year on this CFS run. Much, much colder than we've got with the first Christmas written update at GazWeathers.com. And into New Year's Day, still very cold. Begin to cut off that easterly wind as we get to New Year's Day. But still very cold, still very frosty then. And then by the time we're going into the opening days of January, it looks like wind trying to get back into the west once again. So I thought we'd just throw that in as a little bit of a surprise there at the end of this live stream. I am going to wrap the live stream up very, very shortly. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Let's just see if we've had any more comments while we've been doing that. So we have had one or two more. We've got John Corner with us saying, hello Gav, nice to see you live show. I think that's nice to see your live show from Northern Ireland. So thank you so much for tuning in, John. We're nearly at the end of the live stream now, but thank you so much, my friend, for joining us this afternoon, well, this evening now, isn't it, 6 o'clock. We have one or two more, perhaps. So Matthew Collarcock is saying, love the vids, Gav. I recently found you. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Matthew, for that. Thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream and for watching the videos. And thank you, everybody, for doing that as well. When we started this all those years ago in 2012, I never believed that it would become as big as it has, that it would encompass 2 YouTube channels, that it would encompass the social media accounts, that it would encompass gavswebbies.com, and we'd have so many people getting involved and tuning in. So it does mean a great deal to all of you, and of course got Patreon as well, all the patrons, all of the donors. It does mean a huge amount, and it's so very, very kind of all of you to stick with it, and I just hope that you're enjoying the content that we are doing. Right, and we've gone over by 1 minute, so I better wrap the live stream up there. Just say if you're waiting for the written version of the SICK Winter 2019-2020 update to be placed on Winter Updates page at gavswebbies.com, that will be around 8 o'clock this evening. I've got to have a bit of tea and then I'm going to get writing, so it might be a little bit later than 8 o'clock actually. I'll have to wait and see how quickly I get that written up. In the coming days, of course, you're going to have your regular weather videos, of course, so keep checking back to those. And we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be a lively old week of weather again. I think there's going to be more rain to talk about. So it'll be interesting to see how the videos develop over the next few days. Right, thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream, and we'll do it all over again next week from 5 until 6 o'clock. Of course, that will be discussing the 7th Winter 2019-2020 update, of course. But I'm going to end the live stream there, so once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Bye for now.